The new year was supposed to bring a fresh beginning, but instead, it greeted me with an unexpected shock. The peaceful silence of my home was broken by the sound of the doorbell. Expecting a delivery or a neighbor, I opened the door without hesitation, only for my heart to sink when I saw who was standing there: my sister, Claire, and my ex-husband, Athan. Claire wore her usual smug grin, standing next to Athan, who looked almost proud. Seeing him was like reopening an old wound, and his smug expression made it worse. It had been 3 years since I'd seen either of them, yet they acted like nothing had changed. "Why are you here?" I managed to ask, my voice trembling. Claire laughed condescendingly. "Look, Athan." She's speechless. "What's wrong, Anna? Not happy to see your dear sister and former husband?" Athan leaned casually against the doorframe, scanning the room. "We just thought we'd drop by, see how things are going without us." My fists clenched in frustration, struggling to hold back my urge to slam the door. "This isn't your home anymore, Athan, and you shouldn't be here either, Claire." Their smug expressions didn't falter. Then Athan spoke, his words like a slap to the face. "Honestly, Anna, I regret ever being with you. What a waste of my prime years." Claire chimed in, feigning sympathy. "Poor Anna, always coming up short, even in marriage." Their words stung, but before I could react, a new voice interrupted the tension. "Who's here, Anna?" It was my father, George, who had arrived earlier than expected. Claire and Athan looked surprised, their confident smiles slipping into unease as they exchanged glances. "Dad, you're home early," I said, relief washing over me. George's eyes narrowed as he took in the situation. "Claire, Athan, what are you doing here?" Their bravado melted under my father's sharp gaze. The room fell silent until Claire finally spoke, though her voice lacked its usual confidence. "We just came by to wish Anna a happy new year," she said, though her words were far from convincing. George raised an eyebrow. "Really? After all this time, you suddenly remember family on New Year's?" His voice was cold, filled with underlying anger and disappointment. Athan attempted to regain control of the situation. "We have some news, but maybe now isn't the right time." I knew their visit wasn't as innocent as they made it seem. The insults and the smug expressions were too familiar, another round of their manipulative games. But I was no longer the person they once knew. When they left, awkwardly promising to return another time, I closed the door behind them, feeling both a sense of relief and unease. Their return was a warning that trouble was on the horizon, and this time, I wouldn't let them drag me into their web again. After they left, the house felt unnaturally quiet. My father sat across from me, worry etched on his face. "Anna, what was that all about? Why are they back?" I sighed, the weight of old wounds heavy on my chest. "I don't know, Dad, but when it comes to Claire and Athan, there's always an agenda." George nodded, his expression grim. "I remember how they hurt you. You don't owe them anything, Anna." His words were comforting, but there was something he didn't fully understand: the depth of Claire's manipulation. It was something that started when we were children, a time that should have been carefree, but was overshadowed by Claire's selfishness. "Dad, do you remember my 10th birthday? Grandma's porcelain doll?" I asked, my voice softening with the memory. George's expression softened. "Of course, you always took such care of that doll." I nodded. "Then Claire broke it on purpose, and when I tried to fix it, she blamed me. She cried to Mom, saying I was the one who broke it." George looked surprised. "I never knew that. Your mother always thought it was an accident." "That was just the beginning," I said, feeling the sting of old wounds. "Claire always played the innocent one, and I ended up taking the fall. She knew how to manipulate everyone." I saw the regret in George's eyes. "I'm sorry, Anna. I should have seen it sooner." "It's not your fault," I reassured him. "We were all deceived by Claire." I took a deep breath. "Even with Athan, she played us both. They deserve each other." George squeezed my hand. "What matters now is that you're away from all their drama. Don't let them drag you back in." I nodded, forcing a smile. Talking to Dad reminded me that while the past couldn't be undone, it didn't have to define me. Claire and Athan's visit wasn't just a friendly call, it was a sign of things to come. That night, sleep eluded me. Memories of Claire's manipulation played over and over in my mind. How she always seemed to outshine me in our parents' eyes, How she effortlessly won Athan over, it all came rushing back. Her return meant trouble, and a sense of dread grew within me. But amidst that fear, a spark of determination flickered. I would no longer be the victim. I would face Claire and Athan head-on. Whatever they were planning, I was ready. In the days following their visit, their words and arrogant grins kept circling in my thoughts. I threw myself into my work, hoping to escape the past, but it wouldn't let me go. Remembering my marriage to Athan, once filled with love, now felt like walking on broken glass. It had all started so perfectly. Athan was charming, thoughtful, everything I thought I wanted. We were happy, or so I believed. But then, things began to change. Late nights, excuses, and avoidance. I trusted him, pushing aside the nagging doubts, until one day, the truth became undeniable. I returned home early from a trip, eager to surprise Athan, only to find him and Claire together, laughing in our living room. The sight shattered my world. What followed was a blur of tears, accusations, and bitter truths. Claire showed no remorse, simply shrugging off my pain. "You were always too busy, Anna," she said. "Athan needed someone, and I was there. It's not our fault he lost interest in you." Athan's words stung just as much. "I thought I loved you, Anna. But Claire is different. We were never right for each other." Their betrayal tore me apart, and the divorce was swift. Athan and Claire wasted no time flaunting their new relationship, while I was left to pick up the pieces of my broken life, feeling foolish and betrayed. Sitting at my desk, memories flooded back, reigniting the anger within me. How dare they come back after everything they'd done? How dare they try to disrupt the peace I'd fought for? But beneath that anger, there was something more, a need for justice. I wanted them to feel even a fraction of the pain they caused me. Revenge, once unthinkable, now seemed like the only way to finally close this painful chapter of my life. I knew it was time to face them, demand the truth. But this time, I wouldn't be the heartbroken wife. I would stand tall. They had underestimated me once, never again. I dialed Athan's number, my voice calm, my determination unwavering. "Athan, we need to meet. Let's talk tomorrow at the cafe on 5th Street at noon." His response, stammering and unsure, was a small victory. "Okay, Anna, tomorrow," he agreed, before hanging up. For the first time in days, I felt empowered. The game was on, and I was ready to win. The next day, the cafe was alive with chatter and clinking cups. I spotted Athan at a corner table, his posture stiff, a forced smile playing at the corners of his lips. "Anna, thanks for coming. I wasn't sure you'd want to see me," he said, sounding uncertain. "I don't," I snapped, sitting down across from him. "But I need answers. Why are you and Claire back in my life?" Athan fidgeted. "Things haven't been easy for us since we left. We've been going through a rough patch." I couldn't suppress a bitter smile. "Rough patch? Do you really expect sympathy from me?" No, he quickly corrected. "It's just that Claire's pregnant. We thought it was time to try to make things right. For the family." The news hit hard. "Claire's pregnant?" I felt a sting of betrayal, but disbelief quickly took over. "And you think I'll just forgive you now? Just like that?" I asked, incredulous. "It's not just about that, Anna," Athan said, his gaze dropping. "There's also your father's estate." So, that was the real reason for their return. It wasn't about remorse or reconciliation, it was about money. "You have some nerve, Athan. You cheat, you walk away, and now you come crawling back for cash?" My voice rose, and the nearby patrons glanced over. "People can change, Anna. We've been through a lot. We just want a chance to start over, to be a family," he pleaded. "A family built on lies and betrayal," I retorted, my anger simmering. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Claire. "We need to talk. Alone. My place. Tonight." I looked at Athan, my mind made up. "Tell Claire I'll be there. But understand this, Athan, this isn't a reunion. It's me settling the score." Athan seemed taken aback as I stood up to leave. I felt a sense of power rise within me. I'd been their victim for far too long. But now things were shifting. I walked out, leaving him behind, my heart pounding. Tonight with Claire wouldn't be just a conversation, it would be the start of my revenge. The drive home was a blur of emotions, anger, betrayal, and newfound resolve. I couldn't wait to face Claire and prepare myself for the manipulation I knew would come. As the evening drew near, I stood in front of the mirror, gathering my strength. I saw a different woman than the one who once loved Athan or let Claire overshadow me. Tonight, I was ready to face my past. Claire's house was a stark contrast to mine, opulent, flashy, a testament to her shallow values. I knocked on the door, my heart racing, but my determination was unwavering. When Claire opened the door, she stood there with her usual arrogance. "Anna, come in, I'm glad you could make it," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. I stepped inside, taking in the lavish decor. "So, Claire, why am I here? What do you want from me?" I asked, getting straight to the point. Claire led me to the living room, her movements graceful, but calculated. I thought it's time we had a sister-to-sister conversation. With the baby on the way, I figured we should bury the hatchet. I almost laughed at her audacity. "Bury the hatchet? After you stole my husband and now you're back for my father's inheritance?" Her face hardened for a moment before she regained composure. "Anna, let's be practical. Athan and I need financial stability for our child. Your father's estate could provide that." Her greed was transparent. "You think I'll just hand over what's rightfully mine after everything you've done? It's not just about the money, Anna," Claire said, trying to sound sincere. "It's about family. We're still sisters, aren't we?" I stared at her, appalled. "You lost the right to call me sister the moment you betrayed me." The air between us thickened, heavy with unspoken tension. Then Claire's mask slipped, revealing her true nature. "Fine, if you're going to be selfish, let's talk legalities. Dad's will favors the first grandchild. My baby will secure the inheritance for Athan and me." Her words were like a punch to the gut. This was her plan, to use her pregnancy to manipulate the will in her favor. Unbelievable. "Claire, you think you can manipulate everyone around you to get what you want? Not this time. I won't let you," I said firmly. Claire smirked, her eyes cold and calculating. "We'll see, Anna. We'll see how long you can keep up this act," she sneered. I turned to leave, my mind racing. Driving away, I began to form a plan. Claire and Athan were playing a dangerous game, but now I knew the rules. It was time for them to realize that I wasn't just a pawn in their twisted game. The days following my confrontation with Claire were filled with meticulous preparation for the impending legal battle over my father's estate. I sought out legal counsel, determined to protect what was rightfully mine and my father's legacy from Claire and Athan's greed. As I delved deeper into the legal details, shocking news reached me. Athan's business, once a shining success, had crumbled. They were drowning in debt, unable to keep up their extravagant lifestyle. This revelation shed light on their sudden return and their desperation for the inheritance. In a meeting with my lawyer, Miss Harper, we discussed our next steps. "They're financially and legally trapped," she said, reviewing the documents. "Your sister's claim about the will doesn't stand. We can fight it." Miss Harper's confidence was a comforting reassurance, but I knew Claire and Athan wouldn't back down easily. They were cornered, and cornered animals were dangerous. That night, just as I thought the tension might subside, Claire appeared on my doorstep, her face a mix of defiance and desperation. "Anna, we need to talk," she said, her voice trembling. I had no words left for Claire. "This is now a matter for the lawyers," I said, attempting to walk past her. She stepped in my way, blocking my path. "Anna, please," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm not pregnant. It was a lie, a scheme Athan and I cooked up to manipulate Dad's will." Her confession hit me like a slap, though it wasn't shocking, just another lie in a long line of deceptions. "So you've been lying all this time? What now, Claire? Are you ready to throw in the towel?" I asked, my tone icy. Her eyes welled up, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no remorse. "I don't know what to do. Athan's business is failing. We're losing everything. Please, Anna, I need your help," she pleaded. After everything they'd done to me, her request for help was almost laughable. "You want my help now? After everything you've put me through? You're out of your mind," I replied, pulling away. "The sister I once knew disappeared the moment you chose betrayal. You made your bed, Claire, now lie in it." With that, I turned my back on her, stepping into my house and shutting the door firmly on her and everything she represented. For the first time in years, I felt free from the toxicity that had weighed me down. Later that night, as I sat alone in the quiet of my living room, I realized this fight wasn't just about money, it was about reclaiming my life. This was my liberation. It was time to close the chapter on Claire and Ethan's betrayal and move forward. The following weeks were a blur of legal meetings and tense proceedings. As their financial situation grew dire, Claire and Ethan's desperation became palpable. Yet, despite the pressure, I stood firm. With Miss Harper's guidance and my own resolve, the day of the court hearing arrived. The courtroom buzzed with tension. Claire and Ethan sat side by side, trying to maintain their calm, but their discomfort was evident. Miss Harper expertly dismantled each of their claims, exposing Claire's pregnancy lie and further weakening their position. I watched as Claire's facade crumbled, her once confident, manipulative persona reduced to someone haunted by the fallout of her own actions. During a recess, Claire approached me, her face filled with desperation. "Anna, please, I know I don't deserve your mercy, but we've lost everything. We're ruined." Her plea, once so convincing, no longer had any sway over me. "You did this to yourselves, Claire," I replied, unshaken. "You chose greed and lies, and now you have to face the consequences." The final ruling was clear, I won. The inheritance remained mine, as it should. Claire and Ethan left the courtroom defeated, their plans unraveling before their eyes. As I walked out of the courtroom, a wave of closure washed over me. This wasn't just a legal victory, it was a personal triumph over everything they had done to me. Their downfall was the justice they deserved, but for me, it marked a new beginning, a fresh start, free from the shadows of Claire and Ethan. The scars they had left would always be there, but they no longer defined me. I had grown stronger, more resilient, and clearer about who I was and what mattered to me. One evening, as I sat in my garden watching the sunset, I realized that true victory wasn't in revenge, nor in the suffering of those who had hurt me. It was in finding peace within myself, the strength to move on and embrace a new chapter in my life. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Stay amazed.